Welcome back to another episode of the MD Investor channel, the channel where we talk personal finance, educating your children, and breaking the cycle of generational poverty. Today's video is going to be bad financial decisions. 8 bad financial decisions. We're going to do part 1 of bad financial decisions. There's 8 of them. Part 1. There's 8 of them. Number 1. This may seem obvious, but not educating yourself about the topic of personal finance. Duh. Just think about it. The school system educates you on the thing that they think is important. And obviously, money is not one of them. They don't think it's important, even though in the real world you realize it is very important. But they did not educate you on that. And most likely, you didn't get that education at home as well. They passed on what they knew, and they got it from the generation before. So the miseducation just passed on. So think about what the school does. They educate you on reading, writing, arithmetic, history, music, physical education, language, a lot of things that when you get in the real world, you realize there's really no practical application, right? The Civil War, and then, yeah, it's important in the 3 branches of government, but when it comes down to you paying your bills, you getting assets, it does not help. So if you do not, if you're not surrounded by people who have that personal finance education, whether it's a family or friend or a mentor, then you simply won't get it. And you'll have to get it by experience. And as we all know, that is the worst way to learn. So, of course, now we're in a great information age, the age of YouTube and TED Talk and all type of education that we can grab. But still, old-fashioned. There is books out there, right? Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that you can read and study and learn about what an assets are. Books that how you can retire early. Books like The Richest Man in Babylon. Books on real estate. Books on all type of things. So if you have the drive, if you have the desire, there are resources out there. You can go to your local library. You can go to, Amazon. You can go to Barnes and Noble. You can go to wherever, and you can get this information. But not educating yourself on personal finance is probably the worst thing. I wish I would have done it 10 years earlier. That's how important it is. I wish I would have done it much sooner. So not educating yourself on personal finance will cost you. It will cost you. Not knowing about assets and liability and passive income and interest rates, it will cost you. So not educating yourself. Number 2 of bad financial decisions is inadequate or no insurance at all. Inadequate or no insurance. Insurance is very important. A lot of people don't talk about it enough. Insurance is extremely important. We know about insurance in terms of like driving your car. The government forces you to get a certain liability insurance in case you have an injury. In case you injure someone else. But they mandate that. But there are other insurance where nobody would mandate. There's no law that says you have to get life insurance. But if you are the primary breadwinner and something happens to you and you pass away, so does your income. And your lifestyle has been built on that income. So where would your family get that income that is now gone because of your untimely death. So insurance is very important, right? The number they throw around is 10 to 12 times your gross salary. So to make the math easy, so someone making $100,000 a year, they should have insurance, life insurance of 1 million to 1.2 million. Right? That's the average number. And insurance is a whole topic, but there is whole life insurance where there is a cash value that's built up that you can borrow against and do some creative um, things with that. But the most common that they recommend is a term life insurance. As the name suggests, it is for a term. So, for example, you'd have a term life insurance for 20 years, 20-year term, and there's a flat premium, um, and it'll last that term. If you pass away during that term, the insurance will pay the death benefit. Um, so very, very critical. People that pass away without that, their family are in financial hardship because that income is now gone. There's other type of insurance like disability. You may not pass away, but you may have an injury. You may have a cancer. You may have nerve damage, right? Imagine you're a surgeon and you have like damaged nerves to your hand and you're no longer able to perform surgery. Your life insurance is not going to pay because you didn't die, but you're disabled and no longer able to earn an income. So disability insurance, very important. So these are things that you will need to sit down and speak to an insurance specialist, but these are things that are very important, right? In terms of um, homeowners insurance, there's people that you have homeowners insurance in case something happens to your home, right? Especially if you have a mortgage, the lending institution, the bank is going to require you to have that because right there, they're actual owners of the property and they're protecting their asset. Right? If you live in a flood area, you may need to have flood insurance. But that stuff is very important, right? Because if the pipes bust in your house and there's flood and there's water damage, that has to be replaced and it could be that has to be repaired and that can be very expensive. Insurance is very important and a lot of people neglect it. They say, well, that's money I'm paying and I'm not really getting anything back. Yeah, you're getting peace of mind and you're getting protection in case what? In case life happens to you. Okay? So inadequate or no insurance. The number 3 bad decision that people sometimes make is not having an emergency fund. In the last couple of years, during the pandemic and people's jobs getting cut in hours and all that stuff, people now realize stuff happens, right? And you need to have a buffer from the outside world to your inside of your house, your life. In case I am without income from my job for a certain amount of period, I need to have an emergency fund, right? Experts recommend 3 to 6 months, sometimes even up to a year's worth of living expenses stashed away, not in the stock market, but in a bank account. It could be a high interest bank account, so earning higher than normal interest, but relatively safe, liquid. You can get to it, no problem. So not having emergency fund is one of the bad decisions because if something happens and you don't have that emergency fund, what are you going to do? You may have to swipe the credit card, which is never a good idea with those high rates. So continuing on the bad financial decision, let's go to number 4. Number 4 is paying yourself last. Paying yourself last. So we pay the mortgage and the rent. We pay the credit card. We pay the water bill, the light bill, the sewer. We pay the insurance. We just talk about insurance, right? We pay the car note. We pay the school bill. If the kids are in a private school, we pay the real estate taxes. You pay everyone. And if it so happened that anything is left over, I will live off that. We pay everyone, and you pay yourself last. And because you pay yourself last, there's usually not much left over. Because if you can pay everything, all the bills, then you got to live off something, right? You still got to eat and drink and buy gas for the car. You got to live. You have a little entertainment. There won't be much left to save or invest or do anything or to do anything. So paying yourself last, people may say, yeah, they're so good with money, but you're really a bill payer and you're really not paying yourself. Who worked for that check in the first place? You did, but you're giving it to everybody else. Everyone gets paid except for you. Paying yourself last is a bad decision. What you should do is flip it around and pay yourself first. The check comes in, and then you pay yourself first. And then after you pay yourself what you want to invest or whatever, then you do the essentials, right? The essentials, the fixed cost, right? So the rent and gas and food and stuff. Then you live off the rest. So if you can't buy the most expensive car, so be it. If you can't take the most expensive vacation, so be it. If you can't go out to restaurants every day, so be it. But at least you know that you have paid yourself. Mm. Woo! Let's continue. Number 5, putting all your money in the bank. I'm telling you, these are bad decisions. It's a very bad decision, but very common decision because your income, your check comes in, right? Every 2 weeks. And most people's mindset, we've been trained in a public school system or in the parochial school, we've been trained in the school system, pay your bills. They say, what are you talking about? There are people that do this, putting all their money in the bank. They're working, they're normal people, they're working, they're paying taxes, they're doing all that stuff. Love their mama, love their daddy, all that stuff. But they're putting all their money in the bank. That's what we've been told. Your money goes in the bank. Hey, at least I'm not putting it in the mattress. Hey, at least I'm not putting it under the mattress, or I'm not putting it in the coffee can, or I'm not digging a hole in the ground. But essentially, it is the same thing. These big banks out there, the big banks, the JP Morgan, the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, all those banks, they're paying pretty much next to nothing in terms of interest. Now it's a little higher because of the high interest rate environment that we are in. But in general, they pay nothing and they use your money getting much higher interest rate. But the interest rate they give you is almost nothing. And with inflation, you're actually losing purchasing power. So putting all your money in the bank is a bad idea. But we were taught and we were conditioned to do that. I remember going out to the bank and opening my bank account for my children and stuff. I felt so proud, like, we're doing this. No, no, no. So putting all your money in the bank is not a smart idea. You know, if you are saving for something, an upcoming purchase, maybe you're gonna buy a house in the next 2 years, but not for. You want to keep your emergency fund in the bank, but not a large sum of money or not money that you really don't need right now, which really should be growing. No, putting your money in the bank is the worst idea, right? Having $10,000 in Bank of America or JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo or Citibank is not a good idea. Having $10,000 worth of those bank stocks, that's smart. Because when you put all that money in the bank as a customer, you do not participate in the growth of the bank. If the bank goes up in value, the bank stock goes up in value, you don't participate. But if you own the bank stocks, now that's different now. You have part of the ownership. The bank pays a dividend, you get a dividend. The bank stocks appreciate in value, you participate in that capital growth. So don't put all your money in the bank. It's better to own the bank stocks. Mm-hmm. Now, number 6. The 6 on our list of bad financial decisions. Not saving for retirement. This is a big one because there's not many jobs out there right now with pensions, right? Those jobs are kind of, for the most part, of passed on or no longer in existence. Maybe if you work for the federal government, if you work for the government, federal or state or something like that. But in general, there is really no job out there with pension. So we are on our own. So it's up to us to contribute to our retirement. Your employer will usually incentivize this, such as there may be a company match. If you contribute to your 401k, the company may match. They may match 50 cents to the dollar or dollar for dollar up to a certain percentage point. So they may say, we match you dollar for dollar up to 5% of your gross take home. If you do not invest in your 401k, then they're not obligated to match. So that's free money on the table that you are not going to get. The money's there, but only if you contribute to your retirement, your 401k. They try to incentivize you. You put a dollar, they put a dollar. So now that money grows faster. You put zero, they put zero. So you have to contribute to your retirement. And the earlier you start, the more compound interest will work on your side. You start later, and there's going to be less time for your money to grow. So not saving for your retirement is a big mistake that so not saving for your retirement is a big mistake that you want to avoid. So young workers going out into the workforce, 22, 23, first job out of college, 24, 20, young people. A lot of times you have the mentality like retirement is so far into the future. I need my money right now. This money I'm putting away now. It's just really taken from me. Your future self will thank you. I promise you. At age 20, a dollar put into an S&P 500 index fund will grow to $88. Let me repeat that. At age 20, every dollar you put into an S&P 500 index fund, that on average is going to gain 10% per year, annualized, not 10% every year. Some year it could be down 5%. Some year it could be down 2%. Some year it may be flat. Some year it may be up 10. Some year it may be up 20. But on average, annualized, the stock market has returned 10% every year. So at age 20, every dollar will grow to $88 by age 65. You wait 10 years, age 30, each dollar now only grows to about $32. You see the dramatic decrease in the multiplier effect as you wait. You wait till age 40, each dollar only multiplies to about $7. So you see, time literally is money. The longer you wait, the more money you're losing. So the better thing is to get in there. So at age 20, you put $10,000 in there and leave it alone. That $10,000 will grow to $880,000 by age 65. So you need to get in early and contribute whatever you can. Number 7 of the bad financial decision is not having a brokerage account. Not having a brokerage account is a bad financial decision. A lot of us grow up and we're not really financially savvy. We have not been educated. There was no mentor. There was no personal financial education. And a bank account, a checking account, maybe a CD is all that we were told about. A bank account, a savings account, and a CD. A bank account, a saving account to save a little money, but the interest is not bad, it's not good. A checking account where you write all your checks to all your creditors. A CD, maybe if you're a little savvy, but it's not going to be a great return. But not a lot of us, especially in the Black African American community, have a brokerage account and have been told about getting a brokerage account at a young age. And that's a poor financial decision. Get a brokerage account. That's how, instead of having your money in the bank, you can buy bank stocks, right? So now it's so easy, right? Before it used to be very difficult. You had to have a stockbroker, you had to call them on the phone and do all this stuff. Now all you need is a phone. You got your app, whether it's Acorns, or whether it's Stash, or Robinhood, or one of their big boys, Vanguard, Fidelity app, whatever it is, M1. I love M1. And you begin to build a portfolio. You don't know much? Just get the S&P 500. Go to Google, research, get the S&P 500 index fund, right? Or get the S&P 500 ETF, ticker symbol VOO. That is the S&P 500 Vanguard ETF. And you keep investing, especially if you make it automatic. Mm. So having a brokerage account is really open up the possibility for you to now participate in the growth of the stock market. I used to watch the news all the time when I was younger, and they do the regular news, really it's bad news. Then they do the sports, and then they talk about, oh, the S&P 500 today was up 2.5%, and I'm like, what is that? I guess that's for rich people. No, that's for everybody. There's trillions and trillions of dollars in there from people's retirement account, from people's regular non-taxable brokerage account, and you could participate in that, right? The biggest 500 companies in America or in that, and they are almost like a bellwether of the economy as a whole. So your Home Depot, your McDonald's, your Bank of America, the big companies that and you could own a part of them, and you could participate in that growth. If you don't have a brokerage account, you can't participate in that. Every dollar we earn can't be from us punching the clock. We got to move on. And let's go to number 8. That's the last on the list for this video of bad financial decision. Waiting too long to invest. Again, like I said before, the earlier you start, the more compound interest is going to work on your side, right? If the more compound interest is going to work on your side. So as soon as you can start investing, whether it's $25, $50 a month, $100 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can, start investing, start something so the process can begin. Okay? So these are some of the bad decisions that we have made and we have learned from, and we can correct. If you see yourself in some of these, you can correct it. So let's quickly go through the bad financial decision. The top 8 for bad financial decision. We said number 1, not educating ourselves on personal finance. How do we correct that? Begin to watch. Well, you're kind of doing it now by watching the MD Investor and learning. So, thumbs up to you. There's books out there. There's blogs out there, okay, that you can read and just learn about this different things. Number 2, inadequate or no insurance, right? Again, you have to reach out to like an insurance person and talk to them about what you're trying to do, because you have to protect your family. You got to protect your lifestyle, okay? And you got to protect your income in terms of the disability insurance. Number 3, no emergency fund. That's risky if something was to happen, so you have to try to build up an emergency fund, right, by living below your means and saving a little so you can have 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Some say up to a year. Number 4, pay yourself first, right? The mistake is to pay yourself last, but let's try to flip it on its head and pay yourself first, then pay the essentials, and then kind of curtail our living, right, by cutting down some of the discretionary stuff, like the car. It doesn't have to be the biggest car, the most expensive car. It can be just something that gets us point A to point B. And the money that we save, let's get that invested, okay? Number 5, don't put all your money in the bank, especially if it's money that you don't, especially if this is money you do not need. You want that money to grow. So put it in a brokerage account. Don't put it all in the bank. Number six, no. Number six, not having retirement. If your job provides a 401k or something like retirement, you need to start contributing, especially if there's a match. You need to start contributing because that compound interest is going to help you. Like we said, at age 20, each dollar turns into $88. By the age 65, you keep waiting, and the multiplier effect is less. The quicker you start, the better. Your older self will thank you. Number seven, not having a brokerage account. You need a brokerage account. You can't buy stocks in a savings account. You can't buy stocks in a checking account. And you can't buy stocks in a CD. You need a brokerage account. And there's tons of them, and it's much easier now. You go on, you put in the basic demographic, your name, your social, all the questions they ask, and then begin to set up a portfolio so you can buy stocks. And number eight, waiting too long to invest. Just don't wait too long. All right, you can start investing very early. Okay, so let that compound interest begin to work for you. A lot of times, compound interest work against us. In the example of when you owe credit card, it seems like you can't get over the hump, but you want compound interest to be working for you. Every time you turn around, your money is growing and compounding. That's what you want. So again, guys, some top 8 bad financial decisions. Hope you got something out of it. The investor, and we come on weekly with these financial videos so we can increase our financial IQ, teach our children, so we can break the cycle of generational poverty. Until next time, continue to command your money to grow.